Excellent.
And we're live. All right. So EPDM templates, getting in Starship shape. As you guys know, we have a theme for our webinars this quarter, and our theme is large assemblies. And how can one thing or another thing or different things help with large assemblies, managing large assemblies? And if you guys know me, as I know, oh look, Jen is on, Scott is on, a few of you guys are on, and you guys know that I'm a bit of a control freak. And I like to have control of what's going on around me. And if you're a CAD administrator, you probably are the same way. You guys either walk around with a whip in your hands, or chains, or handcuffs, or a beating stick, or some sort of electroshock therapy rod. And if you don't, I'm sure you imagine it. So what we can do in using EPDM is have more control over how people create files, create folders, create folder structures. And that way, things, especially once you get into large assemblies, things won't be all over the place. Files won't be lost. Files won't be misnamed. One person won't have named one file with one naming convention and then have another file with a different naming convention. Everything will be, as I said before, in Starship shape. So, what is an enterprise PDM template? We're going to get into that. We're also going to discuss, I'll show you an example of a complete template, and then I'll show you how to set up your folder templates, which is setting up your folder structure, and a file template. And again, we're going to shorten it because per your request, you don't want us to take up your entire lunchtime. I really don't understand why. I mean, it's not like it's a beautiful day outside or anything. So we'll do this quickly. Let's go. So an enterprise PDM template is a behind-the-scenes drill sergeant that standardizes the creation and location of your folders and files. So everything can be controlled, just like this drill sergeant controls even what these poor guys wear under their uniforms. You can control the name, the variables, the location of your files, who can create the files, where they can place the files and cannot place the files. This is not something you can do without EPDM. This is something that only EPDM can offer.
Does that drill sergeant have a donut?
Is that what he's waving?
Looks like a jelly donut.
He's cruel. I like him. All right. So another way of seeing this is it's a wizard that can turn 2 clicks, one right mouse click and one left mouse click, into organized information. So with just 2 clicks, you can get a folder structure, meaning a folder with a subfolder structure. And you see 2 examples of 2 project folders. And the folder structure inside of each one of those project folders is exactly the same. 5 subfolders, each one named exactly the same. So this will allow the automation of that and the standardization of all of this. All right, so in action, Mike. We're on Mike's computer right now. So Mike, show us an example of a simple, right, simple, plain, simple, ordinary little file template or folder template.
Okay.
And then I'll show you guys how to make one.
Excellent. Let's see. So here I am inside of our Windows Explorer, C Drive, Cat Vault that I'm logged into right now. And I'm going to just right-click anywhere inside of my project not anywhere in my project folder where I actually have my project template stored, but just anywhere. I'm going to right-click here and go to New. And you'll notice that I have a bunch of things to create new documents. And that in standard Windows Explorer, you have just regular, Excel worksheets or bitmapping images. But once you have EPDM with templates turned on, you have this area at the top of the right-click menu, and you can create new templates. So let's go ahead, and there's a subfolder here for some new projects, and I'm going to go ahead and create the Eagle project. And it pops up, and look at this. A project number is automatically assigned. Don't need to go to some weird book in the document control department to figure out what the next project number is.
Yay.
Here's the project name. What do you want to call it?
Let's call it Webinar.
Webinar.
I used up all my creativity on the PowerPoint. I have nothing left.
And we're broadcasting live from Brooklyn, Connecticut today, so we'll say that's where our project location is. And you see it's a nice drop-down menu. And I'll say OK. What happened?
Apparently nothing.
But let's go into our projects folder here, and look, there's the 2074 project that we had just created. And look, there's a data card that illustrates all that information here for us. The project location, project name, project number. And I can go in here and I have 3 subfolders underneath it as well. And look at this. Even the subfolders get that metadata on it as well.
Come, repeat after me. Ooh.
And any document can get that information as well. So really a pretty cool way of making standard folder structure. That would have taken a couple of minutes to do, and we did it in like a second.
Yep, 2 clicks. 2 clicks. All right, so now, thank you, Mike. Now let's see how you would actually make one. And this is where I would prefer to go live, but for your benefit, we're making it something that you can print out and use later on. All right, so how it's made. I've been watching too much cable TV. Mm-hmm. Folder templates. Let's start with folder templates. So you saw that to access the folder template, it was something really, really quick, but we have to take a little bit of time in the background to actually set all of this up. If you're watching, you're most likely a CAD administrator. So CAD administrators, you guys have access to the EPDM template, EPDM administration tool. Inside that EPDM administration tool, you have all of your vaults and all of your test vaults. And inside of there, you have a bunch of nodes. And a little screenshot of those nodes is right here. At the very bottom, you're used to using your workflows and your variables and your users and your toolbox. I don't know if you've touched on templates yet. So you would right-click and create a new template. Yes, Mike?
I wonder if anybody in this webcast actually uses templates.
Ooh, do we have a poll for that?
We do.
Ooh. Let's see, poll time, poll time. We need a little song for poll time.
Okay, so there's a poll here up on your screen, so if you wouldn't mind participating. So if you are a user of SOLIDWORKS Enterprise PDM, do you use these really cool templates that we're speaking of? So once we get to a good number of people that have voted, we will share those results with you.
I like 100% compliance. We're only up to 43%, guys. 57, come on. Who's not paying attention? Put down the sandwich, reach your hand over to the mouse, and click. Yes, no, maybe so?
15 seconds left. Until this poll self-destructs.
We're a destructive family here, aren't we?
Yikes.
All right, good enough. So here's what you guys said. We have a couple of people who are not, a couple of people who are.
So it looks like we'll learn a little something here today, at least.
And if not, all right, for those of you who are not using templates at all, I have a very simple example to show you, as I mentioned before. For those of you who are using templates, without going into detail as to how each of these was set up, we have a few examples to just demonstrate to you. So everyone will get something out of this one. All right, where are we? So step one. Step one is, let's go back here, right? First, we would right-click on the templates node from inside the EPDM administration tool. Select new template. Easy enough. And then these are the 6 steps that we're going to go through. The template creator is a little 6-step wizard. And I'll go through each one of those steps with you. So step 1 is assign a template name. So you saw that when we right-clicked in the Windows Explorer interface, there was a whole big menu that popped up. And when you go to right-click New, you typically can create a folder or a whole bunch of default Windows type files. So any Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook files, you can create Notepad files, you can create Paint files. What you can do is create a new subgrouping. So we can say create a new project, and inside there have our own subgroup of folders. So what you would do is in the menu string of the EPDM wizard, you would type in new project, that would be the first listing, and then to create a submenu, you would type in a \, and then the name of the submenu. So new project / capping project would give this. And another example would be new project, Eagle project, you guys saw that. So this is set up in such a way that we're going to create a generic project and then define who the customer is that we're creating that project for. Or you can say, for this customer, Acme, we're going to create a new project. So essentially, you decide how you want to set this up. Step 2. Step 2 is permissions, and this is really interesting because it allows you to use the permissions from a different user than the user that is currently logged in. How is this beneficial? This means that you can remove, and for those of you who do have EPDM already and have set up your EPDM, you know what permissions, all the explicit permissions that you set up. You can remove permissions to create folders or to create files from a user, but allow them to create or use this template. So you can remove those permissions in general from the user and then tell or instruct the template to use the permissions from a different user, such as the admin user, so that just for the moment of creation of this folder structure and file structure, you have all of the permissions in the world, if you want. Otherwise, you can just keep the permissions from the logged in user. Step 3. This is where we assign the template input forms. So you saw that when we created the project, the Eagle project, using the right-click menu, it popped up this little window. It's just a regular Windows window. And it requested the project number. Actually, it didn't even request it. It already had it in there. Requested us to type in a project name, and then gave us a pull-down menu for us to select the project location. And then we clicked on the actual folder that was created and its subfolders and looked at the data card. And the data card could be as similar to this form as you want it to be or as dissimilar as you want it to be. We find that it's very convenient to have that form be very similar, if not exactly the same as your data card. So your users are inputting information in a way that they're familiar with that information already. Right? So just to show you the dissimilarity that is possible, I added an extra project description in here, but I didn't assign it in the template. But step 3 is the longest step because this is where the magic happens. Because this is where we link the information that we collect during the creation of the template, link it and link it and link it into the folder data card, and potentially all the way up into the folder and file names. Now this looks a bit complicated, but fear not, because I want you to think for a moment. Would you rather sit around and knit your own shirts still?
No.
Didn't think so. So that we wouldn't have to sit around knitting our own shirts, we had to take, or somebody had to take the time to come up with this complex machinery that would knit shirts for us.
This has come quite a ways since I last looked at knitting machinery. I'm quite into the history of New England manufacturing and knitting and, Samuel Slater and all the mills of New England. That machine is something that Samuel Slater would probably love to see, or maybe he's rolling in his grave. I don't know. But it's not powered off the water of the local rivers anymore, but that's a pretty cool machine. And I'd rather use the machine than hand knit.
Right. And honestly, the people, the engineers who designed this machine, they took a lot of time to set up this machine in such a way that one person can come in here and just press the on button and pull some material out of it. Right. So we're going to do exactly that with this template. So this is what the template creator or wizard looks like. I like to use the term wizard because I love wizardry. This is what the template wizard looks like, right? We created a name, we executed as a certain person or not, and then we created the template card. Wait a minute. I have to go back. Oh, you know what? I am going to have to do a little bit of live. That's right, because I wanted to show this explicitly, and it took up too many images. So your administration tool is here. All right, we're in the Cap Vault. Ooh, it's a super secret password that I'm not allowed to know. Nice. All right, so here's our template node. We're working with the Eagle template. I'm going to right-click and open it this time since I've already created it. Template name, we typed it in new project / Eagle. Execute as, we're just going to use a permission from the logged in user in this case, and here it is, template cards. So we want a template card that looks, feels, tastes exactly like your folder card, but isn't your folder card. So in order to get all of those smokes and mirrors, let's open up the card creator. Where'd it go?
Oh, you just opened the card editor without editing that one. You can double click it.
All right, there we go. So this looks almost exactly like what my folder card looked like, right? My folder card had just one difference down here. So you set this up. One trick that we use very often is to set up your folder card and then go to File, Save As, and save it as a template card instead of a folder card. Then you don't have to do the work all over again. You just save it. Looks exactly the same. Close it. So you would add a card and select that template card from here. Let's say that one. Now we'll leave it to there. And then you'd have to come in, let's go back to here. When you create your template card, you have all of your card variables. These are the ones that you've already created in your card editor. But now you have to create a new set of variables specifically for the templates. So you'd go to template variables. And I created a bunch of template variables that are going to pretty much represent what the project location, project name, project number is, but I'm going to denote them or specify them as template variables by adding just a T underscore to them. That's just a little trick that I like to use. So you create your templates, just keep typing in new, leave it as a format string. We're keeping it simple here. Once you've created them, then you have to link them, right? Link the card variable to the template variable. So project location to T underscore project location, project name to template, project name, project number, template, project number.
Okay.
Right, then we click next. Oh, and just so you know, right, the original one that was in there, that's exactly how it was set up. Then we click next. Now we're on, let me go back to our PowerPoint. Where's PowerPoint? So far, we have done this part, right? We input some numbers into the template, from the template card into the card variable and linked it up. Step 4, we're going to create the folder structure. So let's go back here. Oops, that was step 4. I'll expand that. And the cool thing about this is we start with just a blank folder. And if we click on this file, or sorry, on this icon, it creates a new folder at the root, new root folder. And then we can give it a name. So I gave it the following name. Let's delete that one. If I click on this icon, it'll create a new folder inside of the current folder that we are clicking in. But you remember, Mike clicked magically anywhere in his vault. He magically clicked anywhere in his vault. So if we set up our folder structure like this, right? So we created a folder structure, and here's a little trick. Remember the variables that we used? Right? Project number, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That variable can be used, instead of having to type in the project number as the name of the folder, we can type in a %. That's a little wildcard. Then the name of that variable, T_project_number, then %, and that's going to use the variable project number, whatever that may be, and that is automatically increasing each time because it's using a serial number. So we won't have to type in that number. It'll pull that number for us, and we're using that template's variable in the name of the folder. And then we're going to denote that inside of this folder we'll create a new folder, so that it doesn't matter where we've clicked in the vault, this folder will always be created under this folder. This folder will always be created under this folder. If the folder doesn't exist, it will get created, and if the folder does exist, like the cat vault, that's your root folder. If the folder does exist, your projects folder exists, it will just get created underneath the projects folder. Let's delete that one. So you set up your folder structure right here. And let's go back to the PowerPoint right up here. Right, so we've taken information from that template card, created template variables, linked them to the variable. Then we have to link them to the folder cards variable. So let's do that now. Linking it to the folder card variable. So let's right click.
I always forget that part.
And you know what? This is the part that let's not click the wizard, but this is the part that I did include, because all of us, we always forget that part. And if we don't have it checked off in a little checklist, we'll forget it. So I have that for you in the PowerPoint. Let's do it through the PowerPoint so that you'll be familiar with it. Right, so it's a right click on that project number or a folder that we've created with the name of the project number. Right click, we'll select properties. That opens up this window. It will open it up to group rights. You're going to click on the copy variables tab. And right here, just like we did before, we'll select from the pull down menu. It'll show us the big long list of variables that exist in our EPDM vault, and we'll select the appropriate variable name. Once you're done, you click OK. Oh, so that's what the pull down menu will look like. Wow, I did a great job for you guys.
This is pretty good.
Nice. Right, so that was where all of the magic happened. Let's just go back to I have it on steps 3 and 4. Here we go. Steps 3 and 4. Right? It looks a little complicated, but I also wanted you to see this because those are the steps you're going to have to take between steps 3 and 4, and that will all automate that information to show up in both your folder cards and, if desired, your folder name. All right. Through it one more time. And then the next step is step 5, just selecting an icon. For people who are, especially for people who are visual learners, you want to have an appropriate logo just to make things simple for them. Right? So if you want something that looks like it's going to be creating a 3D XML document, you would select a 3D XML icon. If you're going to be creating a notepad file, you're going to select a notepad icon. If you're going to be creating a project, a whole subfolder structure, excuse me, with files, a whole project, then you'll want to select the EPDM. Oh, and I didn't include it. That's funny. The EPDM logo, which is CVS. And I remember that because last week I was sick and I stopped by CVS like 5 times for a whole bunch of different kinds of pills. So CVS, it will remove your pains if you just select CVS. Right? And then the last thing is, who is allowed to create a folder structure using this template? Well, of course, you as the admin need to get your permission, that any other administrators or managers, however you've set this up, your engineers, you may want to give them access to it, and if you don't, you may want to restrict access here, and in the execute as section, let them execute as a specific template creator. Right? Lots of things that you can do with this. And here's I'm going to throw you guys for a loop. So we've created a whole folder structure. Neat, nifty, spectacular. Wow. But it's not a big wow. Ooh, do we have a question?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. But it's not a big wow. Oh, we do have some questions. I do want to go address the questions before we move on to our to the big wow.
Oh, okay. Okay, before the big wow, one good question I can see here on the list is, can I use a project name instead of a project number?
Oh, yeah. You can use any variable that you've set up. I set it up so that in one of them, it just uses the project number. In another one, actually Mike's setup uses the project number and the customer name and the project name. I mean, you can use all of the variables that you want in there, right? That is up to you. I'm just trying to keep it simple here. But yes, you can add your own string text, like proj dash, and then have your whichever variables you want in there. All right, so anything that you want to use in there. Any other questions before I go on to the big wow, before I throw you in for a loop? You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, too late. So throwing you for a loop, let's go back to step 4. Remember step 4, which is where pretty much steps 3 and 4, where the magic happens. Instead of just creating a whole folder structure, look at this, look at this, look at this, files in the folder. So you select the folder, for example, CAD files. Select the folder, and you click up here, Create New File. And instead of just creating a folder, now you're going to create a file. So you already have to have set up a file. For example, a SolidWorks part file. I called it EPDM part template file. That's my base file for the creation of a SolidWorks file using templates.
There's a gotcha here, though.
What's your gotcha?
The gotcha is you can't use a SolidWorks template file as the template
that's right.
in EPDM. So that's something that I always forget.
Okay, and see, that's so ingrained in me, and I made sure that when I first learned this, I drilled that into my own brain, because I'm my own personal drill sergeant, that I sometimes forget to point that out. Thanks, Mike. So you see that the file that I'm using as my base file for this creation is an SLD PRT file. It's a file that I've created and saved as a SolidWorks part file. I'm not using a SolidWorks part template, which would be a PRT DOT file. I'm using a full-fledged, already created, could open it with a double click if I wanted to, SolidWorks part file, fully matured. So you'll create and then select that part file, click Open. Then it will open up this other, and another reason for why I wanted to give you guys screenshots that you can come back to, that you can refer back to, is it will open up this window. It shows you where that source file is. That file will also have a set of variables attributed to it because it has its own card variables. It has its own card. So all of the template variables, you can, if you wish, copy them over to the card variable for this newly created part file. So the information that you put in when you first created the folder or project structure, information like the project number that was automatically pulled, the project location that we determined to be Brooklyn, Connecticut, the project name that we typed in manually, right? All of those different things that you used just in that initial creation and typing in that first window after your 2 clicks, right click and then regular click. All of that information gets copied into the folders, and now it's also getting copied into your files. Since you have all of those variables, you can use those variables to populate the file's name, just like we use it to populate the folder's name. You can use it to populate the file's name. So I created an Eagle file. So maybe I want to call it Eagle dash. Right? So that's just a string of text. And then I go back to that same nomenclature of wildcard, which is the %sign. My template variable name, so I used tproj number. Where is it? Tproj number. And then left a space. And you can type in something else afterwards if you wanted, if you want to leave a space. Or you could make it so that you can't type anything in. That's entirely up to you as well. And a couple of other options that you'll have here is you can also show that data card when the file is created so that you can have extra information populated. You can check it in automatically. You can use serial numbers to create the number, or use the number for the file name, right, so that you have a part number now. So all of this is entirely up to you, how much control you want, how much automation you want. Once you've set all of this up, once you've set all of this up, you're done.
You're done.
You're done. And now, again, this was a very simple one. This is if it's a brand new subject to you, can be an extremely daunting subject to try to grasp. So I wanted to keep it very, very simple for my slides. If you guys email me, elba@capinc.com, I can send that PowerPoint to you, and you'll be able to print that out and learn from it. Wanted to keep it very simple, but Mike has some really, really awesome stuff set up on his vault already, and I want to show you guys, I want him to show you actually how he has set this up, all of the automation that he's done, all of the things that you can do over on your end.
Cool. I use templates every single day in my day-to-day work at Cap Inc.
I think you use templates every day in your day-to-day life.
I know, I'm sorry, but I kind of like them.
I kind of like you, so I guess we'll keep them both.
Okay. You'll see that I have a couple of different vaults. I have a home vault, I have my work vault, and then I have my Cap Inc. vault. I don't even get into the stuff that we store at our home vault because there's like all sorts of really crazy,
awesome
your
stuff
shoes are in there. And
yeah, I'm obsessive compulsive as well.
But anyway, I'll keep it to the Cap vault for now because there's a number of different folders and templates that I have set up here. And then I'll show you how to create SolidWorks part templates as well. So if I right-click anywhere here in space, here are the new ones that Elba Gloria had made a little bit earlier this morning. You notice that I have a project template. This project template is the one that I typically use that creates these subfolders here on the fly here. Here's a Tiger Shark folder. Actually, that's one I just created manually. Here's the one I had created with the template. You can see I have a place for my email, a place for my Composer documentation, a place for my CNC files, and I even have a Microsoft project file that has information about the start and completion, percentage complete about that Microsoft project plan. So I'll show you how to create one of these right now. I'll just right-click in here, go ahead and create a new project. So I use the CVS icon for project, so it's easy to click on and understand. And here's my new design. And I can click on a pick list of different types of projects here. If I'm creating a new type of control box, I'm going to pick that, and then I get a sub list of things that are related to a control box. Or if I'm doing a filling machine, here are the different types of filling machines. Maybe the customer that it might be associated with. This pick list, by the way, can be linked to other databases. So this is actually linking to another database table somewhere. And I can actually edit this here as well. So I can just drop in a new customer there. I can have date controls on here as well. So, this is due yesterday, of course, because everything is done due yesterday. And you'll see it create the next available project number. 2074 was the previous one. Here's 2075. And I'm going to go ahead. And here's the Microsoft project file 2075, automatically named from the project name. and the data card is here, so I could check that out from here, open it, double click it. You'll see that it's 0% complete right now, but here I might go ahead and update this to 100% complete for installing the web-based EPDM interface and configuration, because I know I have that done. I'll save as a 2007 project. And you'll see it 19% complete in the data card because it's reading in the data from the Microsoft project file. I'll check it in.
You thought you were finished. That's funny.
I thought I was finished. So there we are. Next.
Cool.
So that's how you can create a really cool project structure in the Vault every time. So you have a place to store your emails that are relating to the project. Because, by the way, you can be in Microsoft Outlook and drag and drop an email right into your document or your correspondence folder, and it will show, an email trail in here. Next thing I like to do is I'll go into my design folder, and I want to create a new SolidWorks part. So maybe I want to create some parts ahead of time so I can assign work to my employees as an engineering manager. So I'll go ahead and say create a new part.
Engineering managers do stuff?
Yes, some of them do. I know a lot of them that do.
Wow.
And you can see here's the actual part file being called out. The part number is automatically here. By the way, if you didn't, let's see. I'm going to get to that later. I'm going to call this, this is the clamp, we'll call it. It's going to be a machined part. So here's a drop-down list for categorizing my parts. So that way you can establish categories in EPDM to search on all machine parts, for example. Maybe I'll pick that I'm going to be making it out of aluminum, and we'll go from there. And I can say create file, and it just creates it. It doesn't open SolidWorks. It just gives me a blank part file based on the template that you had set up. If I go into my administration tool, here's my templates area. Here's the part template, and I can see that it's coming. By the way, you can see that you can actually cycle through the wizard here without having to go next and previous. You can click on these list items here. Yep. So here's the part file that I've created, and it's just coming from an area in my Vault for my templates. Part, inch, pound, seconds.
See, and Mike kept it simple too. He just created a template variable T number, linked it to the card variable number, template variable description, linked it to the card variable description, and used that template variable number in the naming of his file.
And I have it show the data card when it's created, and all the metadata is going to the configuration of the card, which is like the master piece of information for the card. So that's what created that. There's my data card. I can edit more information about it. Maybe I'm going to outsource it. So I'm going to go ahead, go to my purchasing, and start bidding on it on the 18th, and the bid is due on the 26th. We're going to buy 100 of them, and the primary vendor is going to be Cbotics. So that's all information that I can save in the card, so that way I can track what's happening.
Nice, without ever having to open a file.
Yeah.
By the way, we have 2 minutes. We want to leave some time for our people to go out for a breath of fresh air or a breath of smoke.
Okay. If you want them to appear in SolidWorks, you have all your SolidWorks part template and assembly and drawing template cards will become available automatically when you're in SolidWorks logged in as somebody who is not the admin. For some reason, they don't want the admin to create parts. They want them to work on their admin duties.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say new, and you'll see I have my normal SolidWorks templates that are just on my local drive. But
those are, hold on, can you hover over that again? Those are the PRTDOT files. ASMDOT, DRWDOT, because those are the SolidWorks template files. Whereas these call out a full system.
You can see that it's actually it's converting it to another kind of place locally on the computer. So
yeah.
when I have templates that are set up for my user to have access to, I don't have to do anything special to make these appear here. They just appear on that local directory under the app data folder on your local system. I didn't have to copy them there manually. They just automatically appear there.
Yep.
So if I say new part from here, this is really cool because in SOLIDWORKS, before you even work on the file, it'll ask you where you actually want to put it. So I can go to my projects folder, to the new design here. It will then ask me for the data card because I have it asking me for that. So I can say this is going to be a molded part, and it's going to be made of plastic. By the way, tomorrow we have a webcast on SOLIDWORKS plastics. So we're going to be able to input this field on the cycle time for how many seconds it takes to make that part, what the wall thickness is and what the draft angle is. That can all be part of the card. As you can see, as I'm cycling through here, I have it changing the type of information that's available. So part assembly and drawing can be created from here as well. And then it doesn't have to be CAD files that you create with templates. It can be completely different types of documents. Think of this. If you want to have a virtual document, a Word document, an XML document, all these types of things can be created as templates. So if I created a new, let's say I'm a company that makes fans, I want a DC fan. It's going to be a blue fan with speed, airflow rate, and CFM, how many hours I expect the bearings to last. It's going to be a sleeve bearing, and it's going to run at 100 decibels.
Nice.
And it's going to be 120 by 120 by 25. Here's a new fan specification number. I say OK. And even though I was in here in the projects folder, you see it created a new fan specification folder for me. And here's a Word document that it actually created. And if I open up that Word document, I'll hopefully see this.
Quickly, quickly. You were overdue 2 minutes ago.
I know.
There's a lot to show, and if you guys want some more detailed or specific to your needs webinar, just give us a call.
I forget the key to update all the fields.
Oh, geez, I forgot that one too.
F9. Because there's a macro you can build into your file to auto-update all the fields, and I haven't implemented. Oh, here it is, update field. All right, so I haven't finished this one up. I just actually threw this on here before the webcast to show this template, and I'm going to finish it up.
Nice.
Also, one more thing. I have Office to PDM running, so I can make any changes here. So I'm going to make it a DC fan instead. And I'll hit the check-in button inside of Microsoft Word. Changed. There. Check it in. So even inside of Word with the Office PDM add-in, which is something that we can offer to you for a separate purchase, you can do that.
Quickly, are we done?
I think we're done. I think I got a bunch of stuff that I showed you there.
Nice. That's some crazy stuff there. All right, let's check for any questions. Do we still have our entire
We still have full
audience
complement
here?
of audience here.
Woohoo!
We haven't lost anybody.
All right, so any questions? Anybody have questions? Please don't ask. Please ask. Anyone? Oh, we're good? We're good? Really, no one was paying attention then.
No.
You should have questions if you were paying attention.
Scott said it was nice.
Well, Scott and Jen are family. All right, guys. We're going to go eat now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again in our next edition of, what is this? CapU webinar series.
Sign up for tomorrow's Plastics webcast.
What time is that?
12:15.
All righty then.
All right. See you later.
Over and out.